One mic, guys. So, Corey, please don't jump in. You're prolonging it, Corey. We'll come to you, Corey, afterwards. Go ahead, Nikki.
Right. So that is why there are 3 levels of accredited investor. There are even some alternative investments via private equity that you have to have $5 million liquid, right? You want to talk about those big boys? You want to talk about some of the BlackRock private equity funds? There is crowdfunding for those of you that want to get rich a whole $300 at a time. Crowdfunding. That's perfectly legal. Shout out to President Obama for allowing it. You do not have to do traditional private equity. I'm sorry, but if you're doing like a $10 million fundraising, what are you going to do getting $500 from random people? What is that interest going to be? You're not even going to return more than 8 to 10%. You're going to get them 20% off of $500. Get the fuck out of here. That's not even worth the damn paperwork in the email. I don't think so. Leave the SEC alone and go get your money from rich people like you normally do, okay? Okay? All right, thank you. I'm done.
Okay, she's done now with her ghetto shit.
Oh, I'm ghetto, but you want to raise $10 million at $55 at a time?
You're ignorant. You're ignorant. No, shut her down now.
I want you to go back and forth, Nikki, but I'm going to talk to you to talk.
No, that painting behind him is ignorant. It looks like you're trying to raise the devil with that shit.
Do you know what this piece of art is, by the way?
Don't you call that art? It looks like you pissed on the wall and wrote on it with a magic marker. That's what it looks like.
Look, there you go. So, some of you might know what that is. She clearly doesn't know what it is. So just so you know, I have no
chances of you seeing this YouTube show
investment in what I'm about to tell you. I've already got my bag, many times over. You guys that allow the government, you go to work, you're a plumber, a chiropractor, a dentist, a doctor, your kids, they make $60 grand or $80 grand, or you work at McDonald's like I did the first time, and I'm making $25,000 a year, whatever the number was, you're a car salesman. You are not allowed to take the money that you earned and invest it in anything that's alternative. Number one, if you don't make $200 grand a year, you are not allowed to invest in an alternative investment. Okay? Number two, you cannot put more than 10% of your earnings. If you earn 60, you are tapped out at 6,000. What is the government doing regulating what you do with your money once you get it? You can drink as much fucking beer. You can use as many drugs. You can buy as many fucking tennis shoes. If the SEC was going to regulate how you should spend your money, they would stop you and say, you cannot buy a fucking pair of Gucci's. What they ought to be telling you is people that don't earn 60 grand should not spend 6,000. They should invest 6,000. But they don't. What they do is limit you. The SEC was created by Wall Street. Okay, Wall Street put it there to make sure that they had ownership of all non-accredited investors. Now, I've chosen to go the hard way and not get money from institutions, but instead crowdfund and get money. People that want to invest with me can. Nobody's forced to. And they're allowed to basically invest in institutional quality assets that you could never buy on your own. Whether it's 500, 5,000, 50,000, or look, most of the money I've raised is from high net worth individuals. A tiny percentage of it's $1.6 billion. Most of it's come from high net worth individuals. Guess what? The 10% that invested are sitting with big money. The same payout, the same terms, the same paperwork, everything. It's identical. Wall Street has prevented you from being involved in those deals. And that's why most deals, Nikki talked about, you want to raise money, go get it from the rich people. Guess what? If you keep going to the rich people and the rich people get all the deals, the rich people own all the shit. Okay? And we're not talking about borrowing money. We're talking about making investments in assets.
Are you talking about a red herring right now, Grant? You're going to come up with the sales pitch next? Because, yeah, you should have registered that too. Is that You don't have.
Do you know how much money I have sent out to our investors?
Well, I would hope it would at least be the minimum of the terms that you allow.
Do you know anything about what I've done?
Why would I know anything about what you've done? Aren't you like the 10X guy that does conferences and stuff? I don't know.
Yeah, well, you should do some research, okay? We paid out almost $500 million to our investors, $8.1 million last month. Guess who that money's going to? Regular people. I have 20,000 investors. Divide 8.1 million. If you remember your division, divide, if you can, 8.1 million by 19,000 people. That's what I send out every month.
I mean, are you talking about dividends? Like, are you bragging about dividends? That's what we're doing right now?
You're just being a hater now, okay?
I'm being a hater?
Right now.
No,
One second, guys. I want to go to Corey. Corey's been trying to jump in. Corey, one second, Corey, let's go, Corey. What are you going to say, Corey?
A couple things here. One is I can spend $1 million on lottery tickets, but I can't spend $20,000 at my friend's company. That doesn't make sense. The United States is one of the very few remaining countries that actually have this whole thing called accreditation. Everywhere else, it's not a thing. So you're basically saying the rest of the world's stupid if you have to enforce some sort of oversight over whether or not I can spend or invest my money in something I believe in or understand or want to do. There's obviously gambling, and Greg went down this whole route. There's gambling and a lot of other things that people can spend their money on, but I can't actually, quote, gamble in a early stage company, or that doesn't make sense. So, I've been involved in the capital private market space for quite a while, with a company called Rotolo, and I have no interest in, basically, we help people get secondary liquidity very easily in the space, and there are ways to get liquidity before 5 years, by the way. There's something called Zabato, Forge, I can go on and on. It's called ATSs, alternative trading systems. So there are ways that people can actually invest in the alternative market space and get liquidity. And so the point is that most of the value of a company occurs before IPO. So the 10X, 100X, the 1000X that the VCs suck up and can take advantage of, and the high net worth individuals, and by the way, I'm one of them. I was telling you that happens in the 2% of the population. And so why can't we not allow people that are not in the 2% of the population to actually transition into a higher financial class? It's called financial slavery. In Wall Street, and honestly, a lot of the regulations have prevented people from investing in a much better return in the private market space. And that's my point here, is IPO, and if you look at like Amazon, you invested in Amazon 10 years ago, you might have doubled your money by now. So all the value is extracted way before it goes IPO. So if you want to have generational wealth, you need to allow people to be educated and be allowed to invest in things early on when they can have a higher return. And that's my whole point. Thanks, guys.
Did you just say that there's no accredited investor in other countries? Because there is in Canada, there is in Australia, there are rules in Europe that are slightly different. They're based on experience. There are rules in Singapore. There are a lot of, and I'm not expressing a view one way or the other. I think maybe someplace in the middle would be fair, to be honest. But there are other countries.
The idea that you have to earn $200,000 a year, there's no, go look it up. There's not accreditation, not $200,000 or $1 million in next year.
And in Singapore, someone with a net worth has to have $2 million in Singapore, whatever that is. Right. Canada's $1 million.
Tara, do you think that people should be regulated on how they invest their money, but they can buy as many lottery tickets as they want?
So, look, here's what I actually think.
Let me just finish my question. Do you think it's all right that non-accredited investors can walk into any casino in America and waste as much money as they want? They can walk into any strip joint and give money away. They can buy as many pairs of Gucci's and whatever they want. They can waste their money every single day, and nobody regulates it. But when it comes to investment, the one thing that they can actually earn money on, that they're regulated by the U.S. government.
Oh, I would turn this around on you a little bit. And like I said, I think maybe a lessening of the rules. I'm not sure total taking away of the rules is the right tack, but I certainly can see why you'd want it to be, less restrictive than it is.
Because the minimum for a couple is $300,000 a year.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I understand. Look, I am an accredited investor, Grant. I signed deals, because I invested Broadway shows. I'm signing these things all the time, so I totally get this. But I also think just because people make sort of unwise or they waste their money in one way.
I'm an accredited investor, and I invest in Broadway.
And so look, I haven't really given this much thought. I think we could lessen the rules, but I understand where the rules came from. They came after, the Depression and things like that, where people were suckered into things. And I also think there are a lot of people now, there's a lot of, how do I say this, with all the crypto stuff and all this stuff going on, it's very difficult. I think it's even more difficult than ever for people to assess investments. So I'd like to see some protections, but I don't know that we need the rules we have now. I guess that's where I come out, but this is not something I've given a lot of thought to, truthfully.
Yeah, so you think the lottery ticket then should be regulated? The casino should be regulated?
You're saying because someone spends money stupidly, they should be allowed to spend more money stupidly, or
No, I'm not saying that.
no, you are saying that. You're saying basically if someone can waste their money on lottery tickets, then let them waste their money on a scam investment where they might win, they might get some money, but they might not. I guess what I'm saying is it seems to me some rules might be a good idea, but this is not one of my issues, so I'm not going to.
Okay, I thought you were speaking because you had an opinion.
No, I haven't. All that I came in about Corey was to say that he's wrong about other countries. There are some rules in other countries. That's all I came in to say.
I said most.
And
Go to UK.
Well, I have a question for Corey. Corey, what percentage of private equity companies actually go public and have an IPO?
Not many, but by the way, you don't need to go public and have an IPO these days.
You don't even know the percentage, but you said people make money with an IPO because you referenced Amazon. How many Amazons out there? Let's just say out of 100 companies, how many companies can you invest in pre-IPO, which makes the voice of girls, is an official public offering, which means, right? How many?
So first of all, you don't have to go IPO to exit.
Bro, you said an IPO, you said Amazon. Answer the question, please. How many? How many can you create all this generational wealth because they won't go public? That was your example.
Well, I create generational wealth and I haven't gone public. What's the problem with that?
Because Amazon went public.
What I said is when
you don't know the answer, do you?
When you look at when public companies go
3% of companies may have an IPO.
What I said is investing in a company that has gone IPO.
What Corey is saying is if you were Jeff Bezos' niece or nephew and you only made $180,000 a year, you could not have invested in this company. Because that is crazy. And you guys really think the SEC is preventing you from fraud, or do you think there's more likely they're preventing you from investing in alternatives to the Blackstones and the BlackRocks and Vanguard?
Excuse me. I was speaking before somebody moved me.
Sorry.
Let's not move her. Let's not do that.
She's interrupted me though. And so you guys, Blackstone and BlackRock and Vanguard and Merrill Lynch and Charles Schwab, these are multi-trillion-dollar companies, and they've gotten bigger and bigger. The same people that argue about this night after night, a handful of people own everything, and then you guys are defending these fucking people for putting the SEC there to supposedly protect yourself. This is insanity.
Mickey, you want to jump in? All right.
Give her her own show. She'll be great with her own show.
Look, guys. Well, yeah, we're not dropping Mickey. Whose mic is it? All right, we're not dropping. 1 second here.
That's mic, unfortunately.
There's Mickey. There's Mickey. All right, so guys, listen to me. I would say this right here. Mickey, I disagree with you much, but I disagree with you on this. I think that Americans should be allowed to invest the way they want to invest. We're allowed to do everything else with our money. Okay, so why not allow people that want to take the chance, okay, to go out there and take the chance? I get what you're saying. That consumers may not have the intellect intellectual capital or the society is to, I guess, meet this out. But that's something that they're going to have to do. I mean, mortgages are difficult to accomplish. I mean, the paperwork is like you're signing everything in triplicate, and it's just a lot of things that people aren't understanding, but they're doing it. So, I really truly believe that I think this accredited thing hurts a lot of people and it prevents them from what's going on. Now, Mickey, your mic.
Jonathan, for keeping it straight.
Yeah, Mickey, your mic, because I definitely want to hear why you truly believe that, and I think average Americans shouldn't be given an opportunity to invest.
She doesn't believe it. She just thinks the white guy like me is going to take advantage of people.
May I speak, please? You are irrelevant. Like, seriously. So, first of all, you don't see BlackRock trying to get $300 grand for people that are trying to...
Actually, you're wrong. Check out what John Gray is doing every day on Instagram. You're wrong.
So, you want to talk about Bridgewater? You want to talk about private equity firms?
I'll talk about all of them. Let's have that
conversation. Let's have the conversation. What are some of the minimum requirements? Hell, even for some mutual funds, Grant, like 10 or 20 years ago. You want to talk about that?
No, I'd rather talk about that. I'd rather talk about it right now.
Speak then, because there's a lot of shit you don't know, quite frankly. When I want to hear about real estate, I'll talk to you. But this is my shit. So here's the problem.
What is your shit?
The reason that accredited investors are required, number one, because a lot of these fundraisers, they don't even want people that only have $300. You know why? Because they literally have capital calls. What are capital calls? You can make a commitment. Let's just say you make a commitment for $1 million, right? They can literally.
I made a commitment for $1 million. I made a commitment for $1 million.
That capital call, you might be having.
Time for my capital call.
$300 is not going to get a capital call.
Bro,
what's the capital call going to be?
Why would they change the structure of the investment?
What's the capital call going to be? If you put in $300, the capital call will be $60.
If I'm raising $100 million, why the fuck would I change the way that I do my business? Because I have $300 investors. So I've literally seen some of these.
Maybe you want to help the little guy.
First of all, exactly, Grant. So it's not even the SEC sometimes or FINRA.
It is only on the Thursday. Don't be dumb. Don't sound dumb.
Fucking finish talking or
because
what?
it is the only fucking SEC.
Bro, I've seen minimum as high as like $2 million.
You understand? That's not true.
Yes, the fuck it is. There's a third level of.
You're only talking about fund structure, though.
What are you talking about? That's because you don't fucking know. You probably don't have the goddamn liquidity yourself because all your shit is tied up in mortgages. The fuck out of here.
Can you ask me a question? What is 2.2 billion divided by 5.1?
Or what? You can overtalk me all you want. It doesn't make what you're saying true.
I don't need to overtalk you, Vicky. You're not making sense. What is 2.2?
How the fuck am I not making sense when you can structure the deal any way that you want? What series are we talking about? Because, yeah, I can go there. You're just randomly saying shit because, you're the man that literally said, I don't even have to use the proper terms because people just look at me and I'm rich and they just invest with me. Well, get the fuck out of here. There are family offices that have attorneys, and I'm telling you, boo-boo, I don't give a fuck what your name is. You're not going to get in the front door with this little okey-doke bullshit you spending on these people. Try it again, sweetheart.
Okey-doke. Okey-doke. It's the okey-doke.
Look, no, Jennifer.
Get her her own show. She'll be great for a
Yeah, you're not going to get a fucking $5 because you're talking bullshit. Show me the numbers, honey. Show me the fucking numbers. Not just little Grant.
I tried to show you the numbers.
You know these billionaires don't play that shit, Grant. They don't give a fuck who you are. You're either going to make them money or you're not. And they don't want to invest with no goddamn $300 shit. Get the fuck out of here. What are you trying to build? A fucking tiny home?
Hold on.
Trying to build.
Good, Mickey. No.
Grant trying to fundraise for a fucking tiny home and shit, talking about give me your $300 and make some goddamn generational wealth at 8% a year for fucking 5 years.
Everybody's got to start somewhere. Everybody's got to start somewhere.
Oh my, guys.
You got the hood in the room, bro.
Oh my, guys.
Welcome back to the hood. This is what we call accredited hood.
Nelson, because Nelson, I don't know. Well, 1 second. I don't know.
This shit is funny.
1 second. I don't know if Nelson's. I mean, is it Nelson here?
Yeah, dude. Hey, man. I mean, let me jump in real quick. I think a few things, right? I mean, guys, like, no one's learning anything when it's a screaming match. Period. Right? Some people want to
Always be
Some
learning.
people may have your views.
Never
and not wanna listen,
entertain.
but at the end of the day,
Always
like,
be learning.
There's 94 people in here, a couple hundred people on X. You know what I mean? So let's get that out the way first. Secondly, an IPO is not the only way private investors liquidate. That is fucking.
Fact.
That is some shit that they teach you in school, right? Which is
It's
usually
some shit they
bullshit.
teach you in school. This
Right?
guy never even went to school.
How many startups between the seed stage and the Series A stage, which is much high, there's a higher likelihood for you to get from seed to Series A, by the way. Do you know how many startup investors liquidate through secondary share sales? I mean, there's literally
Secondary offerings? Oh my gosh, I never thought about that. Why did I ever think about secondary offerings?
Are you fucking kidding me right now?
Yeah, no, but 1 second. Guys, let's let him land. Guys, let's not mute, okay? Go ahead, Nelson. I want him to land because I want him to be able to. Let's go.
Yeah, dude, it's common sense. You have secondary share sales in between rounds, right? You probably have like 50% of startups that make it from seed to Series A and don't get to Series C, right? But you still have investors that cash out through secondary share sales between seed and Series A, right? You have numerous startups in the 8-9 figure mark that none of you guys have ever fucking heard about that go through acquisitions almost every single fucking day.
Damn, every fucking day? Every fucking day, and I'm sitting here on Clown House talking about it every fucking day.
This understanding of God is unintelligible. That's like.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, that's Jefferson. He's my healer. He's my hypnotic healer. Go ahead.
I'm an anti-Islamic, anti-Muslim dehypnotist trying to help Muslims get out of their own way because, let's be honest,
Lights. But in fact, they were the people who were foreign, which means their fathers.
So I call father. I call him Abba Father. Or I call him Father. Some people say, yeah, what? Yeah.
Seneca, do you believe that Jesus is God? Seneca?
Seneca.
Yes. But I can argue that you can't definitively prove that.
What do you mean?
Oh wait, so you do believe Jesus is God, Seneca?
Yeah, I do. So actually,
Okay, yeah, that's my husband.
Okay, so if you agree with that, can you argue with Honey? Because Honey, I don't think you believe that, right? So is that a good topic that you guys would agree on? Like,
well, you did get recommended me, so clearly the algorithm's always correct.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So Jesus. So wait, Jesus did what by God?
Jesus is the Son.
Jesus was sent by God. He's not God himself. Jesus is the Son of God. That's correct.
Yeah, I agree with her.
So Jesus isn't God, Seneca, right?
No,
Jesus is not.
They're showing me his strength, his power, and his athleticism, saying that he was clearly strong to the likewise. We know that's not true, but these are some of the narratives being painted by the other side.
Carmelo beat up a young white boy too in the streets of Texas. That video got leaked on X today.
Every time you come in here, that bullshit. Hold your mic back.
You gotta mute him because he got two voices. He got his regular voice and then he got that voice. So you just mute that voice and then after a while he's speaking his regular voice to give us like logical shit. So Brother Neighbor, watch this. This is why I said the thing I said to earlier. If you didn't hear about the Huddle account,
builders are initially so like water always puddles in the middle and it gets like a fucking dirty spot. And so like they went around and put a notice on everybody's door that they had to.
Nigga told me that he got his fucking eyeballs fixed, looked up to the stars and cried. Yeah, like the right move. I enjoyed every part of your content. Fuck your drama, you rapist ass nigga. You're going to hell, man. Don't play with me, gang, because I don't got no morals on this shit. I hate all you niggas equally.
Later, but I think
Yeah, but
I made two videos about that, good brother.
hold on. Yeah, you making a lot of insinuations as if starting with
I get
you
your point.
backtracking. What am I backtracking? I didn't say the GRIA program didn't exist. I said I told you. Actually, what I did say was I'm starting to understand why he kept that phone, that hot ass phone. Because we found the Sue Surf shit 2022. We see he's hot. He's named in it, right? They got his socials and everything. You familiar with the Sue Surf paperwork, right?
Not necessarily, but yeah, I'm talking about that.
You East Coast nigga.
I know he was in the work.
Okay. He's in the work as a rolling 60 leader that in the middle of providing guns and drugs. They got all his socials and everything there. This 2022, right? But yet in 2025, he still has the same phone.
If an expert does not have some problem to vex him, he is unhappy. If a philosopher's teaching is never attacked, Chong continued, testing the weight of pigs by prodding them in the thinnest parts. Why look for Tao by going down the scale of being, as if that which we call least had less of Tao. Tao is great in all things, complete in all, universal in all, whole in all.
for your advice respectfully. Anyways, listen, if you can go to fucking Vegas and gamble 500 grand, 400 grand, and lose it, I see no reason why the SEC should tell my uncle that he can't invest in my company because he's not accredited and I'm not doing a crowdfund. Right? I see no reason why I have to tell my uncle, hey, you can't invest in Chatter because unfortunately the SEC calls you unaccredited. Right? So, I mean, at the end of the day, to each his own. I know for a fact that there are a number of people out there that are making really good money, right? I just don't happen to have $1 million net worth. I got hundreds of thousands saved up, and they want to invest due to the rules that are in place. I know I think it's Byron Donalds, he's one champion in this from Florida. I'm with him, Grant, and yeah, people should be able to make their decisions however they wish to make those decisions. Those are my thoughts.
Alright, so with that being said, I get you, man. You booty clap like everybody else. You my people, though. But I'm gonna get some lessons from your ass. I gotta get lessons. Yo, you got my wife and staff with that, man. If she's on point with that booty clap, come on, you fuck her Yeah, so anyway, I want to keep this thing. I want to keep this thing moving. Man, so yeah, I want. Everyone's on. So I want to get back to where we were with the market and Donald Trump's awards in the market, moving on to student loans. I definitely want to jump back in on student loans because you can't get mad, about student loans. You can't get upset about student loans because of the fact that it's been since 2020, 5 years later. It sucks. It certainly sucks. And I wanted to get mad when I first read that article. Before we keep going up. When I first read the article earlier today, I wanted to get upset, but then I looked at it and I said, 5 years? Yeah. I can't say anything. You can't say anything. So, I just want to put that out there. But let's get back to this. Who's that speaking?
Because those crackheads are not gonna fucking silence me, which is why I came over to Clubhouse with my people instead of these crackheads literally trying to move me and shit. So anywho, who you gonna listen to? Do not take financial advice from random ass people on the internet, especially those that booty clap for each other. They can have the fucking conversation, Jonathan, because now I'm amongst my people and we can talk about this shit if they want to, okay?
Okay, thank you. Absolutely. So, I want to get back to what I want to get to right now is what was said. Okay, what Donald Trump said. What Donald Trump said, essentially, it caused uncertainty in the market because a Fed chair has never been. They never tried to fire a Fed chair. Now, when people will come in here and say, "Hey, you should a Fed chair should be under the executive branch," I take it for naivete. Okay, I take it for naivete. Because once you put the Fed chair under the executive branch, you take away the independence, and I think it weakens our dollar. So, with that being said, I got Skull here. Skull, before we jump into the market report, the Fed chair, matter of fact, I want to go ahead and jump in and do our market report because I think we need a Musa moment. Damn. Whew. Skull, I don't know if you're in here, man, but it got dangerous in here, man. It got dangerous. It got really dangerous. So, Skull, are you here, my friend? I want to make sure you're there.
I am here. I just came at the very tail end of that, Jonathan. I think we were talking about allowing non-accredited investors.
We're going to get back to that. Because I need this space in between this call. But I want to do a market dayline. And then what I want to do, Skull, is I want you to jump in, okay, and speak about allowing the Fed chair to be under the direction of the executive branch and what that would look like. You and Tara, anyone else that wants to jump in. But I want And then I want to go ahead and I want to speak about the Fed chair, and I want to speak about, I think, because Grant, he's a little misguided on this one, so I want you to address that about the Fed chair being an executive branch after daylight.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Let's go.
Okay, good evening, Debate the News. In markets today, we had a pretty rough sell-off with SPY down almost 3%, S&P 500 down almost 3%. On its way back there.
Jesus. I guess, independent media isn't all that it's cracked up to be, huh?
Tao Te Ching can be translated as the Book of the Imminence of the Way, or the Book of the Way and of how it manifests itself in the world, or simply the Book of the Way. Since it is already well known by its Chinese title, I have let that stand. About Lao Tzu, its author, there's practically nothing to be said. He may have been an older contemporary of Confucius, 551 to 479 BCE, and may have held the position of archive keeper in one of the